Hey guys, it's Haf. I'm back again. I have no makeup on at the moment, and that is because I'm doing the $20 makeup challenge, which is a bit of a challenge in Australia, especially if you want decent cosmetics. So what I actually did is I went out and I bought the cheap cosmetics that we can get from Kmart in Australia. There are basically two brands. There's LOL, LOL. I think it's actually supposed to be Lots of Love, was their original brand, and the other one is OXX, which if you watch Brittany Lee Saunders, she actually did a full face with this. These are all $2 for each item. So I have 10 items. I've done a tiny bit of swatching of a couple of things, but I have not really tried them out. If you're wondering why the light is different, I'm actually using light because it's getting dark and I've been like really slack. And I'm starting to sweat under the light, so I'm actually going to take off my jumper. And if you can hear little giggles in the background, that would be my daughter, who is sitting on the floor and every now and then starts giggling. I don't know what that is with 8-year-olds and giggling. But anyway, so I have a full face, pretty much, of cosmetics. I don't really know how these are going to work. So the first one we're going to try out. So this is actually going to be like the challenge and first impressions. So if you live in Australia and you've wondered what these are like, you will soon find out. I also have a mirror just over here, so if I look over there, that's why. So the first thing is the face base primer thing. This is clearly just in one colour and was $2. So I will put a blob of that. Doesn't really smell. The coughing is also my daughter.
Because I'm sick.
So it's not as silicone-y as some primers I've used. I don't know how well it will actually work. As I said, I haven't tried it before, so I have no idea. So the second thing is also from LOL. It is their foundation. This one is in 00 Very Light. I think they have very light, medium and dark, or something like that. I only saw 3 there. I only saw a light, a medium and a dark, and this actually says very light, so I don't know what it's going to be like. It is a bit on the yellow side, I think, and smells like old lady. So I'm going to apply it with my brush and then blend it out with my beauty blender. I didn't get a concealer, so let's see what. If you don't like old lady or scented foundations, you will not like this. It's actually quite strong. It really does remind me of overly powdered old lady. It is not the nicest smell if you're not into that sort of thing. Yeah. It applies fairly well. I have no idea what the wear is going to be like. I also don't have a proper eye primer, so I'm putting it on my eyelids as well. The colour's not too bad. It's not perfect, but it's not too bad. If you can hear talking in the background, that is the male members of my household being noisy as usual. Just going to use my knockoff beauty blender. This is actually from Cala, and it is actually pretty good. I'm actually pretty happy with it. not as nice as my Real Techniques was, but the dog ate my Real Techniques one, so I can tell you I was not happy about that. Now I can already see, I don't know if it shows in the camera, but to me in the mirror, the coverage is not great. You can still see the zits and shit I have there. And the one that's on the massive one that's on my forehead, it's slightly yellow. Might not be showing in the camera because the light's like really, really bright, but it is slightly yellow, which is, yeah, one of the risks with these. Alright, so next is also from Lol. Use the face powder from Lol. This is in Very Light as well. It's a price powder, but we'll see how we go. Obviously I did not include the brushes in the $20 because, you know, I'm using my Real Techniques face brush. That's actually not too terrible at all. It doesn't smell as strongly as the foundation does. The foundation smells like really strong, like I can still smell it on the back of my hand. It's not too bad actually. I don't know how long it's going to last. It doesn't really give you too much coverage, but it does set the foundation quite well. Yeah, a bit more under my eye. Yeah, that's not terrible for $2. It's not terrible. I can tell you that much. All right, next I'm going to do my eyebrows. I've got an eyebrow pencil from OXX. This is in, I believe it's hazel. They don't write on the actual pencil or their products generally what colour they're in. The box had hazel, brown and dark brown, and it's sort of this I think it's going to pull a bit too warm, but yeah, we'll see how we go. I don't generally use an eye pencil, I tend to use powder. I mean, clearly it works, but it is a little warm. It's pulling a little red. Maybe not to you guys, but to me. Not the worst eye pencil I have actually used. The texture is quite nice, gives nice fine lines. My eyebrows are like super thin anyway, which is why I generally use powder. I should probably use a combination, but I don't. So yeah, for $2 it's not bad, and it's a pretty big pencil too. So if you don't have a problem with it being too warm for you, it'll be fine. Alrighty, next. I could have got a bronze blush type, trio type thing. I think it was from Lol, there was one, but, no, I was going to get a contour from Lol. But then I saw I thought it was a bit too dark. I'm not really sure whether it would have been or not. So I decided to try this blush from OXX. Now, when it was in the packet, it was like that in the box. It looked more brown than it does here. So I don't know how it's going to work. But yeah, probably a bit too orange. But I will use it to warm up my skin just a tad. I mean, it's not great, but it's also not terrible. I've seen worse, but it is kind of too warm. But I suppose that's better than being muddy, basically. Not bad pigmentation for a $2 product. So really, if you like sort of like a peachy, light peachy kind of blush, this would probably work really, really well. But I did buy a blush. It's actually a 2-in-1 blush because that's all I had. Comes with one of those ridiculous, and this is called Coral Blush, by the way. Comes with one of those ridiculous brushes. Like, how is this even a blush brush? I did not grab my normal blush brush, but that's alright. I'm going to use I'm just going to go between the two of them, which is what I normally do when there's two of them. Quite powdery. And a lot of pigment. You are going to want to be careful with these. Whoa. Now, for $2, these pack an absolute buggerload of pigment. That is insane. Okay, I'm just going to grab some more face powder. They kind of look a little clown-like at the moment, in my honest opinion. And just blend that out a little bit with some, that's a bit powdery too, extra face powder. They don't necessarily blend really, really well. I appreciate the pigmentation level on them. They are a little bit powdery, so be aware of that. But, for $2, you wouldn't necessarily expect them to pack a lot of pigment. So I'm just going to swipe once. Especially that hot pink one, that is packing a lot of pigment for a $2 product. So that was just one swipe, and this is why you've got to be careful with it though, because it is, if you put too much on, you're just going to look like a clown. So need to be very light-handed with them in order to not look like a clown. Now I didn't have an illuminator. I didn't have a separate illuminator or one in a pack. I don't know what it is about cheaper brands. So when I looked at the eyeshadows, I was trying to find an eyeshadow that had a decent brow highlight, which was actually really hard in the LOLs. They had like quintets, but they were all, and they'd all be in the same colourway, but they wouldn't, only in one set, which was the black set, black and grey set, was the only one with a really light shade in them. All the rest of them had quite dark shades in them. Of course, I couldn't check the pigmentation, so it could be that they come out really light anyway. But OXX, in their little quads, do tend to have lighter shades. So that shade there, I'm actually going to take it on another Real Techniques blush brush, shadow brush, and just use that, try and get some highlight going on. Not the world's most effective highlight. Fortunately, there does not appear to be a huge amount of pigment in this. So the one downside to all of these products is none of them actually have a mirror in them, which means if you want to do something close up you can't actually see, which is a bit of a pain in the arse. So I have used 3, 4, 5, 6 products so far. So it's $12. Plus the highlighter out of this, so that's $14. So I have 3 left. See if I can pull something together. Okay, so I got this eye crayon. It's in black. This course is from, it's not written on there, OXX. Don't put names, like they don't have colour names. Like this quad does not have a name on it anywhere. And they have like 4 different quads. So I'm just going to use this to line my upper lash line. It's actually got really nice consistency. Has sparkle in it, which I'm not hugely fond of. And it is not the blackest black I've ever used. It's more probably what I would call charcoal. It has that feel to it that you feel like it might actually move. Like it's not actually just gonna stay in place. So it's probably just as well I'm applying it first and we'll put powder over it because it's not gonna stay, I don't think. I mean, from a distance it looks fine. Now, unfortunately, I can't do a really sharp point with this because it's chunky and fat. And I couldn't find in the OXX any eye pencils that were thin. I could only find like the brow pencil and the lip liners, but they didn't have eye ones. I could have got one from LOL, but I've actually used an LOL pencil before. And they're okay, they're just not great. So I am going to, now we're going to dig into this lovely purple eyeshadow palette. I'm going to brush the lighter shade all over the lid first. And up to the brow bone. Okay. Then I am going to go into this shade here. None of these are matte, by the way. They've all got a little bit of shimmer at least to them. I'm going to put this in the crease. Actually really like that colour. Really like that colour. Really like that colour. And then I'm going to go in with, I'm going to go in with this pinker shade and my Real Techniques brush. Put that on the lid. It's actually all blend really, really nicely. The light pink doesn't pack a huge amount of pigment, but it's okay. For $2 eyeshadows, they're actually really, really good. Actually, quite impressed. Just all blending. And then I'm going to go in with my pointy one and this darkest purple shade here. Let's deepen up the crease a bit. Actually really impressed with these eyeshadows. I would probably consider buying these, especially for only $2 each. They do have a green, a blue, a brown and a black version, as well as this purple version. They actually blend really nicely. They work really well together. The colours work really well together. I'm just going to put a bit underneath the eye for a bit of definition, seeing as I don't have a thin pencil. So yeah, I'm actually pretty impressed with how they worked. I would definitely recommend these if you're looking for a low-cost alternative in Australia. These are only available at Kmart. These are a Kmart brand. There are a couple of other Kmart brands. There's Fifth Avenue and there's their Eyes, Lips, Face, Nails, or whatever it's called. The Eyes, Lips, Face, Nails ones are actually, I think, more expensive than these ones, but they're also really, really crap. Particularly their nail polish. It smells like death. I hadn't actually tried the eyeshadow before. I had tried OXX's nail polish and it's not bad. So yeah, I'm actually really impressed with this. So the last thing on the eyes is mascara. This mascara is from LOL and it is in waterproof black. Don't usually use waterproof, but they did not have a non-waterproof one. Not have here. So fairly standard spoolie. So we'll see what it's like. This is a really wet formula. So you are gonna want to be careful. Not too bad. It is very black, I'll give it that. Not exactly lengthening. And obviously I did not curl my lashes because I usually forget to, and my eyelash curler's over there somewhere. It's a black mascara. Is it great? No. Is it crap? No, I don't think so. It doesn't seem to smell too bad. It's not like... The foundation is really the only thing that has smelled so bad that it's made me like kind of go, oh, gross. But as I said, this is quite a wet formula. I usually prefer a drier type formula. It does build up on the second coat a bit. It's not a huge tube of mascara. It'll probably dry out real fast. But for $2, a standard mascara in Australia, most brands, you are starting at about $12 and going up from there. Most mascaras in Australia are quite expensive. So the last thing is lips. So I grabbed an OXX1. I couldn't decide what colour to pick. They had pink and red, obviously. I don't generally go for pinks too much. The one I went for looks really dark in the tube, but it's kind of a berry sort of shade. So we will see what it's like. Generally with a colour this dark I would want a lip liner, but I couldn't afford it. This is a very sheer kind of lipstick. Does not have great coverage on the first swipe. It is quite dark. I'm probably showing a bit darker on camera than it is in reality. It has that feel of a lipstick that is going to travel. It's quite slick and thin, sort of feeling like it's just going to move, especially these darker colours. I think you'd probably really want a lip liner, just to be sure. It feels nice on the lips. I mean, obviously this is not a matte formula, this is just an ordinary cream lipstick. There's no real shimmer. It is, I would say this is a cross between a balm and a lipstick. It's a little bit too sheer of a formula to be like a true lipstick. You can see it on my hand, you can see it's like straight through it. So, the colour's not bad. I don't actually mind the colour at all. And again, for a $2 lipstick, particularly if you just wanted to see whether you particularly liked a colour, $2 is not too much to pay, even in Australia, especially in Australia. So this is the look that I managed to get with $20 worth of low-end, let's face it, they're department store brand, makeup. So there are 10 products, and drop the lipstick, so 10 products. Not the worst products I've ever actually used. Clearly the blush did not work particularly well as a bronzer. It is too peachy. It doesn't look like it in the thing, but it is too peachy. The Lol blushes, super pigmented. Be careful if you buy these because a little is going to go an incredibly long way. Light-handed on those. The powder seems quite nice. I don't feel powdery like when I use my e.l.f. HD powder, which I'm using up at the moment. I find I really need to use like a setting spray type thing to get rid of the powderiness, which I didn't feel with this. I'm actually quite happy with the finish that this has actually given me. The foundation smells terrible, especially if you don't like old lady smell. The coverage this is a light coverage. There's no bones about it. In reality, the colour doesn't look too bad. On camera, it might look a little bit too pale. It doesn't help that my chest is quite red at the moment. The primer didn't really feel too much like a primer. It felt more like just an ordinary moisturiser. Lipstick, a bit too balmy, particularly for a dark colour, because I'm pretty sure this is going to travel real bad. Eye pencil, crayon. Actually would be really good if you're doing a really intense smoky eye and you needed a base. This would work fine. Is it comparable to, say, a NYX? Probably not, but it is quite nice. The eyebrow pencil is quite good. It's just the wrong colour. It's you might not be able to tell too much in the camera, but in person, my eyebrows look red, which they're not. I mean, I'm a redhead, but my eyebrows are blonde, and I usually dye them brown, so for these to come off, it is like where it's on my skin, it's coming off reddy brown. And the mascara is a mascara. It's not fantastic, it's not terrible. I don't know if it's waterproof because I haven't cried or anything, but all in all, I think I did pretty well. And I always kind of thought that these like cheapy brands weren't really worth it because, you know, they're cheapy brands, but after playing with those, they're not that bad. And I'm a bit of a snob sometimes. They're actually pretty good. I'm actually pretty impressed with them. So that was my Australian version of the $20 makeup challenge. If I had tried to buy this much cosmetics from a known brand, even a less pricey known brand, it would have cost me a bomb. This, even e.l.f. in Australia, most e.l.f. products, like their foundation, is like the one that sort of looks a bit like this, is $6. For something like an eyeshadow palette, you're looking at about $12. So can't even do it with that. If I bought it off somewhere like Shop Miss A, you could probably almost pull a face together for $20, but in shops in Australia, that's just not going to happen. So yeah, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you want to subscribe, click down below. Leave me a thumbs up if you like these kind of first impression taggy game type videos, and leave me a comment down below. I try to respond to all comments, and I'll see you in my next video. See ya.